Venus is 5:50, and I'd like to call the November Park and Rec meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Look for a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Bernie, seconded by John. Any discussion? Any changes, Ginger? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I look for a motion to approve the October 3rd, 2023 minutes.
I'll make that motion to approve the October 3rd minutes.
Second. Motion made by John, seconded by Bernie to approve the October 23rd meeting minutes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment? Seeing none? Ginger, consider approval for updates to the special events policy.
Okay, after the large events we had over the last 2 summers, the department had sat down with event organizers and just held discussions on how each event was held. Tabulated complaints, kudos, and concerns leading up to and during and after each event, and then came up with a few things that we felt like needed to be tweaked in our current policy. The first change going through that you'll see is the definition of a city-sponsored event. That is mentioned a couple times in the policy, and then it will also be in the outdoor music ordinance. So I wanted to make sure that was defined so that when we have questions, when people are applying for the special event permit, they say, well, what is this city spot? And it's not just us pulling something out of our pocket. It's a defined definition of what a city-sponsored event is. And then, so some of those examples are something that maybe Morgan might do through the rec department, or Women's Wellness Walk, Fall Fest, Wheels on Water, Winter Wonderland on the Wolf, on those chamber events, because of the programming that we include in those programs. And then just other events that may come up that we feel we would like to have an opportunity to work with the group on. We included then, if you're going through the policy, we also included the need for the outdoor music events permit. When we go through that portion of the agenda, you'll see that currently we allow outdoor music events until 9 p.m. without one. So this policy coincides with that, needing the need for a permit. Scrolling down more, the next thing you'll see is the security needs. The Police and Fire Commission have included a new fee policy to include special event security needs, and the fees associated with those needs. This is mainly due to the lack of county staff available now to provide at those special events. So we have to supplement with our officers at a cost of the policyholder. Having alcohol and outdoor music events increases the need for those additional officers. So we've just seen that that's definitely something that we want to include from here on out. And then going further into it are the mapping requirements. We did have a map that was needed to be included, but this also includes all of the things that we felt were necessary when discussing a special event. These bigger events that we see coming into our city have a lot more detail to them than, you know, a parade, which was included already. So this will include public restroom facilities. Utility needs are becoming a huge part of this. People wanting power where there isn't necessarily power. So we have to work with the utilities department to, or a master electrician to have some sort of temp power put up. So this just outlines the need for that, including to go along with the outdoor music permit is that amplified music direction. We saw in the major events coming this year, that directional for the music is very important because our parks aren't set up for, we don't have any currently that don't have some sort of residential border to them. And so if we can point that amplified music away from the residential border, it barriers it a little bit more. So like in Hatton, you see if it's pointing directly at Warner Allen Boulevard, all of that residential area is getting blasted with their loud music all day. So if we can just turn the stage around, which we found was an issue this summer, if we can turn it around, point it towards the, woods, that buffers it a little bit. And so the need for explaining that to people through the policy is, we found was very necessary. So that's my explanation on the changes in the policy. Not much else was changed. It's a very solid policy. We've just seen those larger music events coming to our city now, which is great. And they've been very, very well attended and they do a great job at it. We just felt the need for a couple additional things to be added, so.
How is that going to affect organizations for the veterans in the spring when we have the program out here and again at Floral Hill? Will there be additional costs involved now?
No, I wouldn't see that needed. These are more for like concerts that have like, a lot of your music isn't amplified loud enough to really need, I wouldn't be concerned about
Well, we
that.
do have a microphone there for the
Right,
park.
yeah, and the time is within the time range and that's the important part too, so.
Thank you.
Do they ever have something? I know years ago, they had trouble with the waters a couple times where they had amplified music.
Yeah.
The neighbors on this side of the river were complaining about it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in the next item agenda, but that will be needed for the permit as well.
Since these are related, do you want to kind of go into the
Yep.
next one right away and then come back and make the motions separately?
Yeah, we
I
can
just do-
definitely do
Because
that.
they are related, so it
Yep.
might make more sense.
I was-
Just at least reviewing.
Did
them
they
first.
ever think of having the people that put on these big events hire their own security?
Yeah, that's included and it would have to be through approved by the chief still. Their security would have to be approved by.
So is security required for these events?
For any outdoor music events or any that serve alcohol, yes.
I just, I'm really enjoying all the events that we're having in town. I was just wondering if putting all these extra fees on it are gonna hinder people from doing them. I mean, what, $55 an hour per officer for
Correct
a
me,
special event?
correct me if I'm wrong, all these fees have been there before?
We charged, we didn't have a unitary fee. So
Correct.
this is more of a uniform fee that's totally transparent. They know about it ahead of time. In the past, since COVID, I hate saying that, but since 2021, we have charged all of the special events that require them a fee. So, yeah, but it hasn't been that uniform transparent. fee.
Correct, so all we're doing is making it more
Correct.
uniform so everybody knows what to expect when they sign up.
Correct.
Instead of
And
surprised or hidden fees.
this only covers their overtime, it only covers their wages, the police wages, so it's no additional.
And in the past, if you read through it, like Ginger referenced before, many times we were able to use the Wapaka County reserve
Correct.
budgets. But that's getting to be a very hard.
They don't
thing.
have
They don't
any,
have any.
Outagamie County does not have any, and Wapaka County has one right now.
We would much rather use the
Yep.
deputies instead of our staff, but unfortunately, we don't have that option like we did at one time. So that's why chief is having to supplement more with paid London officers. And so they put a defined fee in there for that.
Baseball and softball tournaments aren't special events then, or
Because they both serve alcohol and they both bring in a bunch of people.
They fill out a separate Class B license for their alcohol. And they do fill out a special events permit for their larger things, yeah.
So we're gonna pay for $55 an hour for a cop to
No,
be there?
no, because chief would not need to have a cop on. He's the one that approves if there's gonna need security or not.
Okay,
Yeah, you read right underneath the red,
Yeah.
it says the chief will has that bill.
Complete, yep.
okay.
He's the
Okay.
one that reviews the entire permit and then decides whether or not an officer
I mean,
needs
we
to
could
be
get rowdy
present.
sometimes, but not.
I
that bad.
mean, as long as you're in bed by 10.
Better.
So, continuing on with the conversation about the outdoor music events. Our current ordinance allows outdoor music until 9 without a permit, and then the extension with a permit until 12 AM and no later. The majority of the special events are within that 9 PM time frame. We've only had one special event that we did extend this summer, and we did receive complaints during that. Because remember, the parks do line residential streets, bordering that. Major complaints, I mean, they started at 4:30, so it wasn't like, oh, at midnight, people were loud, but one of the squeakiest wheels was that it was the crowds leaving the park at the end of the night. That were walking to the residential areas, to their parking spots, because we also don't have a lot of parking within our parks. They have to walk within residential areas to their vehicles, and that's where they said people were really loud. While I was researching the change, Appleton, Neenah, Little Chute, Clintonville were some of the examples that have the similar ordinance with the amplified music, none after 10 PM. Without some sort of special request variance, which we did include. So if you go through the changes here, we're extending it an hour, but needing that permit. So 10 PM to 6 AM. You can apply for it twice a month. So this is for private and special events. So if the Waters wants to have, and they do this already, if they want to have a band, they can do so twice a month from 6 AM to 10 PM.
Question,
Mhm.
how will that affect at the stadium? Because, baseball games sometime go pretty late and,
Yep.
with announcing going on and stuff.
So any of the ball diamonds, Memorial Park, Pfeiffer Park, and Hatton are all included in the park's rules.
Yeah.
That they can stay open until the end of a game. Till the last inning is over, and then it closes if it's after the park hours. So park hours are typically till 9 PM.
Yeah.
That park can stay open and active until the last inning is over. Yep. So just the continuation of the security requirements that were in the policy. The need for the special event permit. When we were doing this until 9 PM and not needing a permit, chief, then he would still review it, but some of those he didn't. If it was a private group that wanted to have music until 9 PM, he didn't review that at all. And now he will have the opportunity to review that and say the Waters wants to have Bon Jovi come and play. Chief has the opportunity to review that and see if he needs to have special staff on. Any other discussion, comments, questions? This is definitely,
So only city-sponsored events can ask for an extension? Did I read that right? or-
yes, yep. And I would say that that's determined by myself, and the chief, and if youth baseball wants to have something go until midnight, we can sponsor that with them. Same thing with the chamber, like if April wants to do Wheels on Water Street until midnight, we can review that and sponsor it with them, like we do already, actually, so.
Okay, so we're gonna look for consider approval for the updates to the special events policy.
I think you're gonna have trouble with that. Because people are gonna say, how come the city can stay later and we gotta quit at that?
We are the ones that provide all of the services that I mean, if they want to pay for extra officers, they can, and we can definitely,
I mean,
work
that's
with
just,
that group.
that's just my feeling
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, absolutely.
Because if the city can have something that goes till midnight with music, and somebody wants to come in and they spend, say, 20,000 for a band and they gotta quit at 10, that's not right.
That is what all of those other communities do. I mean, if you go to Wrigley Field for a concert, they have to be done at 10. I've walked out of there because they say, Chicago ordinance says you gotta be out, and we're out. It's not uncommon.
Any other comments on it?
I think if it ain't broken, why fix it? I think that more regulation is just gonna, deter people from holding events. And I think the events are good for the city.
The
More
biggest
comments?
part of this change was recommendations from the chief, just because of the comments they've got after 10 o'clock PM. And that's the big
Yep,
reason for this change.
Part of that though is
Or
too, is
considered.
because they didn't have the police coverage that they're gonna be forced to, they're gonna be required to have at this point, right? I
We
mean,
had it before.
Question is,
Yep.
okay, you got an event going on till 9 o'clock, okay? And it goes on till like 10 o'clock. How do you get the additional officers?
he has to, so we schedule, they have to have this approved 45 days in advance so that he can set his schedule and add additional officers onto that schedule because of the event. So that's. The
Any other
groups-
comments?
The groups that we're working with right now, and I actually I've gotten both of the applications for the two large events. One ends at 9 PM and one ends at 10 PM. And that's on their own. I didn't have any sway and say, do you guys want to maybe just stay until 10 because that's what we're leaning towards? Rock and Corn Fest stayed open till midnight this year, and they found that they were from comments that I got at the after action report was that they were begging people to buy their beer and stick around, and hey, we have more going on tonight, stick around, and that was at like 9:30.
Seen that happen over at Sugar Bush a couple of times.
Yeah.
On their after hours stuff.
Mhm. So our two major events right now our number one is Shamrock Club, and they're closed at 6 so that people can go out to the bars and, maybe give the bars some business, and that's certainly something that these guys, Rock and Corn Fest, hey, we're done now, but the bars are still open another 3 hours. You guys can go wherever and get into trouble downtown.
I would look for a motion to consider approval for the updates to the special events policy. Colleen made the motion,
Second.
John made the second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're gonna look for consider approval to amend ordinance 17.04 subsection 6 requirement for outdoor music events.
second,
Ernie, you make the motion? John seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider adopting a horticultural donation policy, Ginger.
Okay, this was something that I wanted to get in here, when I had time within 2023. I did the, tree management, community tree management program with the Wisconsin DNR this year, and this was my project, that I worked on to, that I needed to do to graduate the course. What it's doing is putting in place a policy to allow our frontline staff to be able to answer questions, be able to offer a tax deductible donation to the city, for trees, for people that want to memorialize or honor somebody. We do that right now, but we don't have a solid policy on it. So it's just something that can give us a way to communicate better with the community, and give our frontline staff the answers that they need to, when somebody calls and says, I want to donate a tree, and they don't have to necessarily forward that to me. They can answer all of those questions on their own. I do intend, I included also the brochure. I haven't yet, but I'd like to speak with, the funeral homes and giving this. I do know that they do a tree donation program, and maybe they would consider doing a local tree program, that, is something that contributes to our parks and our urban forest, here in the city. Another facet of this includes, the reason why it's not a tree donation policy and it's a horticultural donation policy. I get a lot of phone calls from people that are thinning out their gardens, separating their perennials, and wanting to give those perennials to the city, to put in our parks, which when I first started, I thought, oh my gosh, that's great. Yes, give me all of your irises, all of your daylilies. That's awesome. However, with my training in the course, I'm learning about invasives, and I'm learning about, insects like the gypsy moth, which is now classified as a spongy moth, jumping worms, which will totally destroy any turf that we have in our city parks, and other species that are listed in the state guidelines, in the administrative code. It is illegal to possess and transport those things, so this goes along with that. And it's just a good program. With the approval of this policy, that'll also give us a box to check off when applying for urban forestry grants, and then also will help our Tree City USA application this year. So, any questions on it?
And for consideration to adopt the horticultural donation policy.
I'll make a motion to adopt the horticultural donation policy.
Bernie second. John made motion, Bernie seconded. Any discussion?
I just like to thank Ginger on that for being ahead of
Mhm.
things on that and taking the time to take that course, because we really need to keep an eye on our tree stock with storms and things that we've done, and
Yeah.
this will just help enhance that too as we get back on program with that.
So as we move along with the capital projects and things like that, the urban forestry grants is a huge one, because I do want to update our tree inventory throughout the city. So this will help with that too.
Thanks for
Thank
your progressive work on that.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Review and award bid for Hatton Pavilion bathroom remodel, Ginger.
Okay, so we had the bids go out for the bathrooms at Hatton Park. These are in the pavilion. We had two bids come back, Immel Excavating, who is the general for that, and then, Commonwealth Construction out of Fond du Lac. We decided to go with the lower bid, obviously. However, we do have, during the time of capital projects approval, it was approved to come out of bonding, $83,000. So we were short those funds. Chad, do you wanna?
As I'm working on that, why don't you
Oh,
indicate what we're all doing and why we're
Sure.
doing that first?
okay. So Hatton's bathrooms, I don't think have ever been remodeled. We have them going through, we've had a lot of problems with the sewer there, and when we, went down and scoped it, they are still the clay pipes, that are all cracked up. We have backups there probably once a week, where the sewer sucker has to come in and clean out our lateral and take care of that. So this is a complete tear down and rebuild of those bathrooms from the floor up. That's the explanation of the huge plumbing costs there. And then going through and just making sure everything is up to code. This is going to be obviously ADA accessible, easy to clean, brighter, and then also just the laterals are gonna run so much smoother now that we have that internal.
Which of the
Job.
facilities does this cover?
This is the pavilion in the middle of the park.
Okay.
Yep. So,
That's not that one, not by the Horseshoe Port at all?
no, that's called Kunkel.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we have on the screen now is just an explanation of the funding of the of what we have. So as I said, we have the original approved funding of $83,000. We have had to pay McMahon for the engineering fees thus far, as well as putting together the bid packet and going through that process. So our remaining funds are at $73,168. In working with Judy, we were able to have the wastewater treatment plant funds fund the plumbing and the lateral work that's gonna be done, because that's a major portion and problem in that facility. And then we have leftover funds from 2020 that we're able to roll over into that. Covering our anticipated budget of $117,000 and $117,155.50, which includes the contingencies that we have to include just in case something happens. Whether it be the need for more engineering or something happens with one of the contractors, so.
Are they replacing what, putting a new water source in right away?
Yes, everything is gonna be brand new,
Something that really needed to be done.
yes,
Is there a projected start date in this program?
as soon as it's approved, we wanna get it done this fall. And at least run some water through it, so. Those would naturally be closed right now, but
Those bathrooms aren't heated at all, are they?
No,
So you'd winterize them for the winter.
right, yeah,
So if the water lines are replaced, I'm sure that's gonna remove the lead.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
How many stalls are gonna be in those bathrooms?
It's been an ongoing problem.
so there'll be two men's toilets, 2 urinals, and 2 sinks in the men's, and then there'll be 4 stalls in the women's and 2 sinks.
I wonder why there was such a difference in the two beds.
I don't know, it's just,
if you know who Commonwealth Construction is, they are kind of a larger company. They built the Beacon Street Apartments. And they do a lot more commercial, home building, like multi-home build, then I'm not even sure why they would put in a bid for this project, because it's not in their wheelhouse at all.
Maybe why they
Maybe
were
they're
tied,
getting into municipal, I don't know, yeah.
why they went so high, they didn't want the bid anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's itemized here. You can see the differences in what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones, just a general construction. And we're saying 37,000, they're saying 83, so.
And Emil was there for the site visit and Commonwealth was not. And, they'd seen it and knew, so.
Looking for a,
To me, it looks like where it's got petitions on there and accessories,
Yeah.
that's an awful lot for 8 petitions. I mean, that's $4,000 a petition.
And they're both pretty close to each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. So you got, the inside separates them. So you got 2 pieces that goes up against the wall and you got 2 doors. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's just my opinion, but it is what it is.
And I can be able to pick apart the bid and certain things you don't like, you know, so.
yeah.
Well, I understand that.
Little Force is the company doing that part, so. I can kind of, and they were the only ones that put in a bid for that portion of the. Yep. Yep,
Well, one thing that's different there than a residential, if you were putting a partition up in a regular building, you're going up against, that's all quarried rock and it's very old.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes a difference, but that's speculation on my
Yeah.
part. But we want them durable so that the first week it's open, that some
Yep.
punk don't rip them off the, you know what we go through at Memorial.
I'll make a motion to award the bid for Hatton Pavilion bathroom remodel. Emil?
have a second.
I
Yes.
will.
John made the motion, Bernie seconded. Any more discussion?
One of the things was just because we're taking, we need to get additional funding earmarked for the project. So before the meeting, Ginger and I kind of threw together,
Just making sure that that is included in the motion.
yeah, just so we're transparent where this funding is coming from. We've got the funding from the original approved funding, but we do need to kind of earmark sewer portions for the sewer part of it, and then leftover bonding funding to get this budget amount.
Want me to reword that?
So we threw together kind of
Okay.
just to be transparent on where we're coming with things.
Make a motion that the council considers awarding the Hatton Park restroom contract to low bidder Emil Excavating in amount of $106,505 and supplementing the budget with a wastewater treatment plant, sewer funds, and leftover 2020 bonding funding.
No second, Bernie?
Yeah.
Bernie seconds it. Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
I
Opposed? Motion carried. Updates and reports.
I don't have much additionally to report. Just want to shout out to my staff for doing a spectacular job, with the haunted trail that they had. That was a little different because of the weather, and then also Jim's haunted swim down at the pool. They did a great job. I attended both events and thought that it was great. I'm very proud of them for what they're doing with the programming. Also, just a update on the Hatton Stadium project. It's continuing to go through with the handicap seating project along with the replacement of the chain fence with netting. As Holton Brothers finishes up tuck pointing in the front of the stadium, it's looking so nice. And if any of you ever want to pop in and just let them know who you are, they're working. They're super nice guys. and they're very proud of their work, so they'd love to talk to you. And just some great news. The Hatton Stadium Foundation did receive $25,000 from the Marilyn W. Taylor Wolt Cheese Fund. They really were impressed with what the foundation's done so far with that park and their goals to make the park ADA accessible. And they encourage them to apply again in the next round. So I think that's really exciting for them.
That was really, really
And
neat. to
you,
come.
yes, yeah, yeah,
We've been
Absolutely.
approaching that for 3 years or 4 years.
yes, yeah, and yeah, so congratulations to them. And that's it.
Did you gonna talk about the Boy Scouts?
I am going to, I haven't talked with him yet, so I have a meeting set up with 1 and potentially 2 Eagle Scouts that are looking to do projects within the city. If any of you can think of additions that you would just like to see in any of our parks or the city in general, because that is included in their list is wherever you would like to see their work done. Let me know, reach out to me and I'll, I can talk to them. So I know
No.
that you had some thoughts.
I know the mayor made the comment last meeting about
Yes.
archery range or some
Mhm.
targets and stuff over there by the dog park.
Yep.
And that maybe one
That
of the
would be a
projects.
great one, yeah, and so, you know, I will be completely honest, I am not a archery person, I have no forte in it. I could do the programming if you wanted me to, but I probably could not build a archery range, so,
I so happen to have a volunteer when I see that come up.
yeah.
I'd be happy to build something.
So if somebody wants to meet with him and I, that would be great, to have that conversation with him, so.
That maybe can be some of our future, something to bring up. in the-
Yeah, yeah, mm-hmm.
Has Jack Kindiger got anything to report from the school for us? Nothing?
Not really. There was a lot of people that volunteered in the high school out at the Haunted Trail, which was a success.
Okay.
Great.
About it.
Mr. Eager, you had something you wanted to say yet?
Yeah, something probably happened here in the last month, that I think greatly affects the New London community, okay? And that is that the VFW organization here in town is no longer an organization. Tim was the last commander over there. They have turned in their charter. The biggest reason for it, Tim could probably explain a little more than I can.
Lack of members, lack of leadership, nobody wants a leadership role. It's just, fortunately, we haven't had a lot of wars over the last 30 years and the younger ones are just not stepping up. So we just didn't have the members.
So anyway, I've approached both the American Legion and the AMVETS, and I'm gonna try to put together a program to recognize that VFW organization. So you don't know, that organization started November 30th, 1932. Okay, and it finished just in September. That means they served this community for 91 years. Okay. And right now, nobody else can use that name in this community. Okay. So I was talking to Tim mostly here, okay, that I would like to see some kind of remembrance made, okay, to remember these people, okay? We built that memorial out there, you know, that's got, you know, almost 1,100 names on it now. But that's something different. What I would like to suggest is that we create some place or somewhere to be able to give remembrance to the community about it. And of course, one of the obvious ones that came to my mind right away was Taft Park, okay? There's also the possibility of doing it at the Legion Hall, or even maybe something at Floral Hill.
We talked about Memorial Park too.
Yeah, and Memorial Park.
Yep.
And so what I'm kind of looking at is really something fairly simple. For example, if you did it at Veterans Park, we do have a couple of metal, bronze postings there, and those were basically the major donors that helped us with funds. And then, of course, the organization itself, all the names of the people that worked with it. And on those same things, we could make a permanent metal plaque that would go on. It would be, a bronze plaque. And something reasonably simple is what I started with. And it would really say in remembrance to the VFW Learman Schiller post 2732. It says served the New London community for 91 years and gave the starts and the finish of that. I would anticipate that if we did that, would probably be one of the most cost-effective ways to do it. I've talked to the Matheson people out here also about the possibility of doing, something like a headstone, that we could put either at that, or we could put that at Floral Park, or even at the Legion property out there. And so nothing is really confirmed on this. It's just started here about, 2 weeks ago, Tim, something like that. And I just like to get your guys' feelings, okay? Taft Park was really, really updated with, with the reference to honoring veterans and their service. And what better way to do this for an organization? So sometime in the near future, I'm going to come back with a formal proposal and let you guys think about it. Any questions?
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
I'd like to review the next meeting date is Tuesday, December 5th. Any conflicts with any elections or anything? Is there nothing going on? All right, and I guess we're looking for adjournment.
So moved.
Made motion,
Second.
Don, second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.